What's up everyone, I'm Dan and a big shout out to Game Mill Entertainment for the review code for the Karate Kid Street Rumble on the Nintendo Switch. Street Rumble is a love letter to fans of the original Karate Kid trilogy, bringing 1980s nostalgia to life with a pixel art side-scrolling beat-em-up formula. Its fast-paced action, dynamic combat and familiar characters from the Karate Kid universe make it a tempting title for both retro gamers and movie buffs. However, while the game delivers some enjoyable gameplay moments, it struggles to consistently maintain the charm of its source material and ultimately falls short in a few key areas. Visually, Street Rumble thrives in its pixel art presentation. The 16-bit art style is a clear homage to the golden age of gaming, and it's one of the game's strongest points. Iconic locations such as the Cobra Kai Dojo, Topanga Beach, and the All Valley Tournament are recreated in beautifully crafted pixel environments that evoke memories of the films. The attention to detail in these levels, combined with character sprites that resemble their movie counterparts, ensure that fans will instantly recognize the world they're playing in. The animations, especially for special moves like Daniel's iconic crane kick, are fluid and visually satisfying. Each character, whether Daniel LaRusso, Mr. Miyagi, Ali Mills or Kamiko, has a unique look and feel which helps to inject some personality into the game. The retro aesthetic, bolstered by a chip-tuned soundtrack that feels straight out of the 80s, contributes to the game's nostalgic arcade charm. For fans of the films, the pixel art mastery is an enjoyable visual throwback to a simple era of gaming. As a side-scrolling beat-em-up, Street Rumble is straightforward but functional. Players can choose from 4 playable characters: Daniel, Mr. Miyagi, Ali Mills and Kamiko, each with their own moveset. The game offers the classic beat-em-up staples: light and heavy attacks, jumping, sprinting, and special abilities. The combat system feels fluid and responsive, with the ability to chain together combos, perform grabs, and even charge up attacks for additional damage. There's also a parry mechanic that, while not used heavily in standard combat, becomes essential during boss battles, adding a layer of strategy. One of the game's more interesting mechanics is the special meter system. As players land attacks, they fill up their special meter, which allows them to perform powerful moves like Daniel's crane kick. In a clever twist, these meters also serve as armor, absorbing damage before players take actual health damage, adding a bit of strategy to when to unleash special moves versus conserving them for defense. While the gameplay is fun in short bursts, it does start to feel repetitive over time. The levels, though designed with familiar backdrops, don't offer much in terms of environmental interaction or creativity. There are only 2 pickups, one to recover health and one to refill the special meter, and no weapons or items to shake things up. The lack of variety in enemies, with simple reskins or slight variations on attack patterns, further contribute to the feeling of monotony after extended play. Boss battles are a central element to Street Rumble, with players facing off against iconic villains like Johnny Lawrence, John Kreese and Terry Silver across 12 levels. Unfortunately, the boss encounters are somewhat hit and miss. While a few offer a satisfying challenge that force players to recall the lessons of Mr. Miyagi, many bosses are easy to exploit once their attack patterns are understood. This makes the climactic moments of the game feel less rewarding, as the challenge is often diminished by predictability. In terms of difficulty, the game offers multiple modes. The standard difficulty is fairly accessible, making Street Rumble a solid entry point for new players or younger gamers. However, for those seeking more of a challenge, there are additional harder modes that unlock as you progress, which ramp up the intensity and make combat more demanding. One of the game's more disappointing aspects is its story presentation. Given the rich narrative of the original Karate Kid trilogy, Street Rumble had the potential to really capitalize on nostalgia and deliver memorable story moments. Instead, the storytelling feels flat. The use of still images and simple text dialogue boxes to relay the plot is uninspiring, lacking the emotional impact or dynamic presentation that could have elevated the game's narrative. This is especially disheartening given the rich material the developers had to work with. The absence of voice acting further detracts from the overall experience. While retro games often utilize text-based storytelling, the lack of even basic voice work in Street Rumble feels like a missed opportunity to bring more life to its characters. The story moments are reduced to uninspired cutscenes that break up the action in a less than satisfying way. One area where Street Rumble succeeds is in its co-op multiplayer. Up to 4 players can join in local co-op, making the game an enjoyable party experience for fans of couch co-op. Unfortunately, there's no online multiplayer. Replayability is another strong point for the game, with 4 different playable characters, each with their own different abilities and unlockable upgrades. Players are encouraged to experiment with different play styles. As players progress, they unlock new modes like arcade, endless waves and boss rush, adding some incentive to return to the game after completing the main story. Overall, the Karate Kid Street Rumble offers a decent beat-em-up experience, especially for fans of the original movies. The pixel art, retro soundtrack and familiar settings will undoubtedly appeal to those with fond memories of the 80s. However, the game's repetitive combat, lackluster boss fights and disappointing story presentation hold it back from being truly great. For those willing to overlook its flaws, Street Rumble offers enough nostalgia-fueled fun to justify a playthrough, especially in co-op mode. If you're a fan of the series and still want to check this one out, I'd say perhaps wait for a sale. The Karate Kid Street Rumble is out now on the Nintendo eShop, priced at $34.99 in the UK and $39.99 in the US. Thanks to you all for watching, sweep the leg, and until next time.